Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. How are you? Today we are going to discuss the introduction to the Romantic Age. Romantic Age is considered to be the most important age in English literature. It started in the late 18th century. In this age, writers focused more on human feelings and natural beauty. They wanted to express real emotions and personal experiences. This made literature more alive and meaningful. Coming to the next slide, we today we begin one of the most important and beautiful moments in English literature, the Romantic Age. This is the age where poets moved away from rules and logic and artificial style and turned toward nature, emotion, imagination, freedom, and the inner life of human beings. What does all this mean? It means in the Romantic Age, poets moved away from the strict rules and dry logic. Earlier, poetry was formal and controlled, but the Romantic poets wanted freedom. They focused on nature, human emotions, imagination, and personal thoughts. They believed that the inner life of a person, his feelings and ideas, is more important than the strict rules of the society. The next and the third slide we are going to discuss. I have designed a question for you. What does or what makes life meaningful? Only logic, rules, or feelings, imagination, and freedom? This question is exactly what Romanticism is about. For example, we can ask an important question: what makes life meaningful? Is it only rules and logic, or is it feelings, imagination, and freedom? Romantic poets believe that life becomes meaningful through emotions and imagination. This idea is at the heart of Romanticism. In the next slide, we touch upon the idea when the Romantic age started. Actually, the Romantic age begins in 1798 with the publication of the lyrical ballads and the preface to the lyrical ballads by William Wordsworth and Coleridge. In simple terms, Romanticism is the literature of emotion, imagination, nature, and freedom. It means the Romantic Age begins in 1798 with the publication of lyrical ballads. This book was written by both the greatest poets of the Romantic Age, Wordsworth and Coleridge. It changed the direction of poetry from using simple language and focusing on common life and deep feelings. It is considered. I have, for the sake of explanation, I have given you a kind of वन लाइन उर्दू एक्सप्लेनेशन. कह सकते हैं कि रोमानवी दौर मतलब रोमांटिक एज जो है वो है जहाँ अदब दिल, जज्बे, फितरत और इंसान के अंदरूनी तजुर्बे की आवाज़ बन जाता है. सो going on into the further discussion of the age, we can say that Romantic age was actually a reaction against the new classical age. I told you in the classes that what does new mean, what does classical mean, and combinedly the new classical age was actually a kind of fake idea. So Romanticism begins as a reaction against the earlier age, the age of reason. That age valued the new classical age focused on logic, order, rules, and control. On the other hand, Romanticism started as a reaction against the new classical age, which is also called the age of reason. The new classical age is also termed as the age of reason. That earlier age, I mean the new classical age, valued logic, order, rules, and control. Writers followed strict guidelines, but the Romantic poets felt that this style ignored human emotions and imagination, so they created a new free style of writing. But the Romantic said human beings are not just rational, they also have feelings, imaginations, dreams, and they also suffer in the real life. Romanticism does not reject reason. You have to keep this in mind. They only rejects the idea only reason. It means they think that there is a reason in human beings, but they have feelings as well. So the most important impetus comes from the Swiss philosopher who is said to be, the main cornerstone of Romanticism, who influenced the Romantic poets. Uh, uh, while discussing Rousseau, we have to go into the details of the spread of revolution. Romanticism is deeply connected to the idea of revolution, not just political revolution. It was not a political revolution, it was actually a literary revolution. It was a kind of literary movement, but it was, you can say, it was a kind of emotional revolution, intellectual revolution, and literary revolution, and a kind of spiritual revolution as well. It is about feeling the human self. आप उर्दू में कह सकते हैं कि ये सिर्फ हुकूमत के ख़िलाफ़ बगावत नहीं थी, मतलब ये हुकूमती सतह के लोग नहीं थे, ये तो शायर थे, अदीब थे, अदब के आप कह सकते हैं मैदान के लोग थे। वो एहसास और तख़य्युल की बात करते थे। तख़य्युल मीन्स इमेजिनेशन। इकबाल एक जगह पे कहता है कि सितारों से आगे जहाँ और भी है, अभी इश्क के इम्तिहान और भी है। आप इस लाइन को, इस शेर को इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में रख सकते हैं कि न्यू क्लासिकल एज के शायर और अदीब जो थे, वो अपने तख़य्युल को, अपने इमेजिनेशन को, अपने लॉजिक और रीज़न के बाउंड्रीज़ में वो कैद करना चाहते थे। रोमांटिक्स जो थे वो एक्चुअली इस आइडिया के बिल्कुल ख़िलाफ़ थे। वो चाहते थे कि दे ऑलवेज पुशेस बियॉन्ड द लिमिट्स, इट रिफ्यूजेस कन्फाइनमेंट। दे वर नॉट इन फेवर ऑफ confining the human imagination and the human spirit. In this context, Rousseau, Swiss philosopher, writer, and composer, is very important. The Romantic writers and the poets is said to have, gained a genuine, inspiration from this philosopher. And because of him, they actually made a genuine break with the rational, orderly thinking of the 18th century Enlightenment. While we still think of the Voltaire as a symbol of the power of reason, his contemporary Rousseau was one of the early prominent voices of 19th century Romanticism. Rousseau was a very famous thinker who influenced the Romantic age. He believed that human beings are naturally good and free, but society, the social norms and the social values and the strict rules of the civilization makes him unhappy and restricted. His ideas encourage poets and writers to return to nature and focus on a simple natural life that is considered to be free, instead of living in the civilized world where the rules and regulations are imposed upon human beings. There is a very famous saying of Rousseau. He says that man is born free, but everywhere he is in chains. What this means is that humans are naturally good and society corrupts them. So Romantic poets turned back towards nature and simplicity because they wanted to get free from the strong hold of the societal norms and the political order and the civilization and the whatever. You can say इंसान अपनी असल में फितरी तौर पर आज़ाद भी है और मुआशरा उसे बिगाड़ देता है, क्योंकि रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशन जो है असल में बनाए गए थे इंसान को एक तरतीब में रखने के लिए, लेकिन इन्हीं उसूल और इन्हीं कवानीन से कुछ लोगों ने फ़ायदा उठाया और उन्होंने जो है इंसान को तकरीबन ग़ुलाम बना दिया। फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन जो है इस कॉन्टेक्स्ट में इज़ वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट बिकॉज द फ्रेंच रेवोल्यूशन इंस्पायर्ड द रोमांटिक पोइट्स and writers. The slogan of the French Revolution was liberty, equality, and fraternity. It gave hope to the Romantic poets that injustice can end, ordinary people matter, and society can change. And that is why they wanted to adopt the spirit of the French Revolution into the realm of the literature, and they wanted to give a voice to the voice of the common man. The French Revolution was a major event that influenced Romantic writers. It promoted ideas like freedom, equality, and brotherhood. It gave people hope that society could change and become better. This spirit of change inspired many Romantic poets. Ahmed Faiz, a very important figure in the Urdu literature. Actually, he was he studied English literature. He had masters in English literature. एक जगह पे वो कहते हैं कि बोल के लब आज़ाद है तेरे, बोल ज़बां अब तक तेरी है। मतलब इंसान की ज़बान तो अपनी है लेकिन इस पर पाबंदियाँ लगाई गई हैं। जिस तरह इंसान के हाथों में हथकड़ियाँ डाली जाती हैं आज के दौर के कवानीन ने इंसान के ज़बान को तारे लगा दिए हैं. So romanticism gives voice to the individual, and they wanted to give voice to the common man, and they wanted the society to hear to the voice of the common man in the language of the common man. But then came a kind of disillusionment with the French Revolution, because the revolution became violent. So the Romantic poets turned towards their inner self. They actually lost hope with the French Revolution. The French Revolution gave hope in the beginning, but later it became violent and chaotic. This disappointed many poets. They lost faith in political change and turned toward their inner self. Instead of focusing on society, they began to examine nature and imagination and the inner self. And they wanted to go back to the lap of nature. They wanted to take help from their own imagination. They wanted to understand their true self. Instead of bringing revolution in the outside world, they wanted to change the inside feelings of the human beings, because the outside world, the revolution in the outside world failed, but there was a hope that the inner revolution can bring about a tremendous change in the society through literature, through art, through poetry and so on. I hope you might have got a slight idea of what is Romanticism. We'll be discussing this in the next lecture, inshallah. I'll upload the next lecture on the YouTube channel as well, and we will discuss all these things in detail in the classes, in the physical classes as well. I hope you pay attention to whatever I have given you. This is a minor attempt to just to keep you in touch with whatever we have studied in the classes. Thank you so much for paying attention to this important lecture, and I hope you enjoy it. I hope you understand it. I hope you give me feedback through your comments on the YouTube channel. I'm going to share the link with you, and I am going to upload this. Thank you. Best of luck.